Haven't made a video for quite a number of months, guys. It's good to be back, and who better to have as a guest on my return than Chris Deoudes from goodlookingloser.com. If you guys don't know who that is, I'm sure a lot of you do. You might even follow me because of his site in the first place. That's kind of how I made my way online. But just a quick introduction. You started online how long ago? Your blog?
Good Looking Loser, I think 2012, something like that.
Then you have to move the mic a bit closer.
I'll move closer to it. Yeah, 2012, I'd say. So I'd have to go look at that. But before that, there was a bunch of like smaller sites, hair loss from steroids, and a bunch of stuff like that. So GLL wasn't a project that I was actually gonna like do because I was just kind of repulsed by all the dating stuff because at some point it just holds people back. But my buddy Brian Harris, he was known as Scotty, convinced me to let's do some stuff on there and then just leave it. And if people like it, like, you know, we'll take it from there. So we did that. And then today it's become much more than a lot of other stuff. So yeah. that was a good decision, but he had to twist my arm to do it because, you know, pickup community and that's just largely pretty lame. So yeah.
I remember. So a lot of you guys don't know, but like More Plates, More Dates was sort of supposed to be kind of like a 50-50 split between like fitness lifestyle stuff, but then also dating, hence the, you know, more dates. And I haven't really talked about that much, but Good Looking Losers essentially wholly responsible for any success I've had in the past, you know, 8 years now, probably. It's been a fucking while. But, so I don't even know what compelled me to join the forum in the first place. It was really weird because I remember seeing your first pickup video, and I was like sitting in university. It was like my second year. Had like quite minimal experience doing anything. Just not the typical gym rat bodybuilder, not have a life kind of dude.
Right, a lonesome bodybuilder.
Yeah. Great fucking article, by the way. If you haven't read it, go read The Plight of the Lonesome Bodybuilder series. And
used to be me too, believe it or not.
A lot of you guys will probably relate to it because I definitely did.
Yeah, your guys definitely will.
Yeah, so... And it's not a bad thing if you relate to it. It's just you gotta get in your head that and understand what's happening, and if you fall into that situation, so you can try and change it, because you don't want to go through your entire, you know, like 20s or the rest of your life in that position where all you give a shit about is getting your meal 6 in. So, but so I started on that forum like way back, and it made me, you know, pushed me to, I think there was like literally 10 dudes on the forum when I joined, probably.
Yeah. That was early on.
Yeah.
The site didn't look like the way it is. You've come quite a way online because there's a lot of people will say that you're one of the only other successful people that's like made something online. And one of the reasons I think that you're successful is you actually have new discussion and like from what you've actually done in your life to add to stuff. And it's cliche, but we're like, oh, you know, just tell people about your experience and your experience. A lot of people's experience is like reading other people's blogs and then doing their like cliff notes on them. Yeah. And but Derek has added a lot in the especially in fitness, and he's really my go-to. I maybe way back when I was your sort of go-to on fitness, but you know, you are now. Of course, I've shrunk 45 pounds of muscle, but nonetheless, for
I should edit in like a before picture.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
But what do you think when you see like your physique like that back then? Did you think like, wow, that was like overkill, or?
Well, you see, the only pictures I've had, I think, were pictures where I looked good. Well, and there weren't that many, so yeah, I just way over fucking did it.
I saw this one picture. It was like probably like probably like your prime of bodybuilding stuff, and it was like maybe it was post hockey game or some shit, and you were doing like throwing up like a bicep flex in the camera, and you were like in full hockey gear, and you looked pretty damn sauced at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hockey isn't even like a sport where you're supposed to shoot like a gram of test and go out and play and stuff like that.
Yeah. How'd that translate into your cardio when you did hockey?
Well, our team that played, this was inline hockey out in Huntington Beach, California. We used EPO and different kind of stuff like that,
shit.
and EQ. I don't think you even know that.
No,
Yeah,
I assumed maybe like EQ, but I didn't know EPO. That's like
Yeah. This was 2000. Ooh, this was early. This was like 2005. This was a really exciting time. I don't think I really detailed this much on Good Looking Loser, but our team was out in California, and we were otherwise a team of misfits that haven't played together in a long time. And we were playing against these like really good California teams, and over a period of like 9 weeks. It was a lot of hockey. We were in 2 leagues, and we like experimented with different kind of stuff, and it was like everyone knew that our team was like juiced. Everyone knew. And this was like in the prime of like roller hockey. It's kind of like dropped off since. It was also in the prime of like steroids in the news.
Did you play ice hockey too?
I did. I started ice hockey kind of late, so I never really got as good at that as I did at inline. But it was that 2005, Barry Bonds. It was all over the news. Balco Lab, and it was just like a really big thing. They're dragging baseball players in front of Congress and stuff like that. So it was like cool to fucking do steroids then and be like the juiced athletes. And it gave you a psychological advantage over stuff.
Yeah.
Things were different back then. So I guess it's been like 13 years. Some of the shit that we would do in our hockey games and have done to us today would be considered like criminal assault. Like it would be.
Yeah.
It absolutely would be. And at the time it was like a 5-minute penalty or something, or game misconduct. But I think about that, man. The world is how old are you again?
Just turned 26.
Okay, I'll be 36 in this coming month. So, yeah, it's just things are way different now. Whether it's just everyone's obviously more offended by everything, but the laws are what constitutes like assault. Now, don't get me wrong. What a lot of people were doing in the hockey league like definitely was assault. When after a play is over, you literally swing your stick at someone's neck and like cut, like it's insane.
Jesus.
Yeah. But with girls these days, sexual assault, just all the definitions have really changed. And a lot of the stuff that Brian and I preached in early days of Good Looking Loser have a different kind of meaning now, and I wouldn't necessarily like recommend them until like you really have a lot of experience under your belt,
Yeah, definitely. I actually I remember when I first started, I was going to do the approach anxiety program you laid out.
Right.
And like realistically, I think anyone should do it, but I was so like results driven that I just like forced my way past the entire program and just like went full board.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know how I was going out with Jared, who you obviously know.
Right.
And I guess just like the pressure to match what he was doing, because he was already at a point where he was like hitting on girls consistently. And funny enough, I think I told you, he's like, I'm pretty sure he's still with the same chick. His like first cold approach ever ended up being his girlfriend for like a decade.
Wow.
Which is insane. I don't know if he's still with her, but I think he is, last I talked to him. But that's pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah. That was good times, though. Just like, we went out for like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And just like, the amount of fucking progress you can make from 0 to like 100 just by committing full board to it.
Yeah.
Like, I worked 1 day a week because I didn't have more time to do otherwise. And I was a full-time student. And I was making like, I think minimum wage back then was like $8 an hour.
Canadian.
Yeah, Canadian. So that's like, if you're in the U.S., that's
It's like
$3. It's probably like $5.50 or something.
Yeah.
So obviously that's like fucking nothing. But yeah, so I'd make like, I don't know, $70 a week minus taxes, and that was like just enough to somehow go on like cheapo dates a few times a week and just like mass approach, and that was like all I was doing for like a year straight at least. And the amount of progress I made in just that first 3 months of like really committing to it.
Yeah. What years was that, or when you started?
So I joined the forum November 2nd, 2012. I think is what my thing says.
Okay. Yeah, that's early on.
I definitely was like looking at. I really still don't know what compelled me to join the forum though, because it's not like I was dumbfounded watching the videos, and I was like insanely like, you know, like a typical guy reaction, like holy shit, like he's talking to girls.
Yeah.
Like
well, there was other videos on YouTube at the time, right? I mean, like
not like the style.
Right.
I couldn't relate to them because they were all like scripted things.
Right.
You were like the first one who was like a proponent of, and this is something that I can't speak highly enough about, is just going in without a fucking predetermined script.
Yeah.
Because I used to try and do that when I first started. I literally had like the mystery method stack, like in like a 3-page script that I kept folded in my pocket. And I'd like go to the bathroom at the club and like read through it.
Yeah, it was before you could put it on your smartphone, so you'd actually write it on a note card. Yeah,
literally fucking printed it. And I'd like in the bathroom on just like, okay, if I get through like what is it? Attraction stage 3, then I get to like whatever the fucking middle one is, and then I do a DHV spike, and then she likes me more obviously because like, you know, I'm high value if I have a DHV story, you know. Is it DHV? I don't even fucking remember.
Demonstrate higher value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll neg her, make her feel like shit, you know.
Yeah. That never worked for me.
Oh man. And then if you take her down a peg, then she's obviously gonna want you.
Yeah.
And then you get to like S1 within like 3 hours is the time frame. And if you're not doing that, then you're fucking up. But if you follow the stack correctly, you will be having sex within 7 hours.
Right.
But obviously easier said than done. Doesn't exactly work out like that.
Or what's not being said by that whole thing was like, if you can get a girl in 7 hours to have sex with, you could probably do it within like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You know, they're pretty sure, you know, what they're getting into.
So like, yeah, the main problem with the PUA shit was like, it convinced me and so many other people likely to the point that nothing mattered except game, which is not the case. So I was going around with this stack in my pocket, and even if you recite it perfectly, the extent of your social skills does not ever progress past the point of this script that you know in your head. So it's like...
Or a girl calls you out for like holding the note card in your hand when you're like reading it. Like, are you reading off that note card?
Yeah. Fuck. It was like, oh goddamn, what's like the next paragraph in my thing?
Yeah.
But it was like once you start going in with zero game plan, that's where your brain works, and you just like adapt and learn how to speak, because otherwise you will never learn. And I remember my first approach that I can constitute as a real approach. It was like, I went up to some chick working in London Drugs, which is just like a grocery store. I don't know if they have it here, but I just like went up to her and I just like said hi and asked for a number. Got rejected, but I was like the happiest I had been in years, just from the fucking sheer fact that I could do that. And
it's exciting, man. I gotta say, that's one thing with getting older. It's just like hockey was really exciting. I mean, that ended around like early 20s. And then it was like the next big thing was like pickup.
Yeah.
It was like, and that's the excitement today. I mean, I'm better than ever. Obviously, quality of life is like 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But the excitement is not quite, it's not quite what it was.
There's nothing like the high of like
getting rejected by chicks. Yeah. Yeah. Or, you know, even better.
Yeah. Once you actually start getting results.
Yeah. And they start coming through.
Yeah. It's like the floodgates once you start realizing you can talk to people.
Right.
Is like up to that point of GLL, it was like, it feels like you're in a constrained world where there's no way you can meet a woman without having her be introduced to you by a friend and be like qualified sort of for
Yeah.
you.
Right.
Like, oh, this is like my buddy and he's like cool, so you should talk to him.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, well now I can fucking talk to her.
Yeah.
And then it was like, wow, I can literally like go up to that chick at the stop sign, be like, how's your day going?
Yeah.
And talk, you know?
Yeah.
As if it's like some magical fucking thing. But yeah, back then it was.
Yeah.
And it was like
definitely.
seeing, it's funny because when you see guys react to approach videos and they think it's like, it's so baffling, it must be fake or something.
Right.
That it's like, it just goes to show the mindset of like how people have been brainwashed nowadays.
I've never fully understood that because it's just like even the average guy who doesn't get much action, he does know on any given night in some club in America or Canada or somewhere that there's going to be two people who didn't know each other and they're going to go home together. It's like, is that so unheard of? But then like when, I don't know, like I never understood that. It'd be like, well, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like,
It's like it's not that fucking weird. You're just maybe put a science behind it, which is partially the problem. But
oh yeah, I was like, so I didn't have any of my friends. They usually had girlfriends, or they just didn't really go out that often.
Yeah.
So it was like my social interaction was limited to what my friends were doing.
Yeah.
Because A, thought it was weird to do anything on your own. B, didn't think I could talk to a girl if I wasn't introduced to her
Yeah.
first, like cordially or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, once you realize you can just literally talk to people. And it's not even about like getting women at the end of the day. It's about like increasing your quality of life by being able to communicate with humans effectively.
Yeah, it's not being tied down to anything because it's about having options, just life in general, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna be like, you know, if you can talk to chicks even like halfway above average and every now and then get laid, you're not gonna get into some abusive relationship or something. Just a lot of stuff changes when A, you know, you can get girls for sex. B, you can make money like on your own and you do not have to be part of like the fabric of like normie society sort of. But yeah, GLL was a lot of things came together on that. It was sort of the first community, and not only community, where guys that like weren't total, you know, what's the word, just feminine pussies got together in this, because pickup, it has never been cool because the people that, you know, were around the community were like losers and they knew it. So I think why Brian was a big influence on my wife, Scotty, is like he made the thing cool.
Yeah.
Not just him, but it was like cool to not have a fucking job, wander around a city and do that. Now, after a while, that didn't become cool, but after a while, you can get laid without having to go out every day and like do that. So it became like a cool thing, and I think like that's sort of why GL was successful, because both of us, it was early on, like we kind of made this dorky shit like pretty cool. So yeah.
How did you transition from the whole? So like obviously we already touched on how being able to just like talk to women without a script is like literally fucking critical for developing any social skills. And the reason for that is because if you're thrown into a situation where you just throw yourself into the fire, you're forced to adapt. Eventually you're going to learn. Your first like 20, 30 interactions, you're going to sound like an idiot probably. And that's expected and it should be happening. So don't feel bad if that happens. If you guys are wondering how, you know, you just like what you say when you walk up to girls, because it's just like you figure it out. You introduce yourself and it just eventually you just learn how to have a conversation like you would with any other human.
Talk to a girl if you're just starting out who's, you know, that you're on a higher level than she is. You're going to act totally different. You're not going to give a fuck if she, you know, isn't having it.
Yeah.
That would be my advice. I don't even think I've like ever officially said that, but it's like, yeah, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because it's like if you have a dude and he'll, you know, go talk to his buddy, and he's just totally laid back, doesn't think about what he's going to say. Why does speaking to another human who you perceive as, attractive of the opposite sex, all of a sudden your brain just fucking doesn't work,
Because you want something.
Like, it's still just a human in flesh and bones, so you should be able to talk to them just the same. And eventually, when you do this enough, you get to that point, and that's kind of like where everything opens up, in my opinion. And it's like, if you don't have that shit sorted, you will always be thinking about what ifs in your past, and like, oh, I wish I could go back to being, like single and going out and doing this and partying, and that's where you get guys in like their 30s who regret their 20s and such and such. So
yeah.
But as far as like your transition, like the whole reason I got into the whole like freestyling, I don't even know if you'd call it. I would probably just say just speaking like a fucking normal human, but getting into that sort of away from the PUA stuff, which is what was hammered home largely, I think, because it could be monetized, and they were capitalizing on the fact that they had the secret. And it's
a lot of those guys didn't get laid, like not really. So it's like they were just dating coaches and stuff.
Can you talk about like specific names?
Can't talk specific names, but I tell you the guys that like do get laid. My mentor for a period of time was Brad P. I don't even know if he's still around. He did. Jake P did. And I would see it wasn't in the prime of pickup like Neil Strauss and the Game era, but that house they lived in is like right on Sunset, and we would see it at this place that pretty much every night we would go out if there wasn't something going on elsewhere, called Saddle Ranch. And I would see Tyler, that's RSD Tyler, I guess he's known as now, and like those guys. And Tyler can get laid. My whole thing with Real Social Dynamics is I think they emphasize things that that we don't, but at the same time, someone like you or I is not really meant for them, and there's other guys that aren't going to do as well with GLL being very fucking direct.
When you transitioned from the PUA stuff to the stuff that, not like PUA stuff doesn't work, I just think it's a stupid way to progress, because you're not going to really progress. You're going to be stuck in your predetermined routines and whatnot. But how did you like eventually even come to the realization or like think to try just going in and seeing what happens?
I mean, it was gradual. Brian was a big part of it. And again, we weren't like living together at the time. We would just talk for a long time. And but obviously would go out with him when he came to LA and stuff, and I went to New York. But like several things really. I remember I thought of this the other day. Like the thing that kind of flipped the switch in the PUA thing, that PUA became GLL basically. Yeah. There was this girl, and I had moved to LA, and I was Googling like personal trainers or something, and like seeing what everyone was doing or where they were working. And there was this girl, Whitney, and she was giving the description now. I would almost easily be able to like look. But her name was Whitney. She was Ivy League educated, that's actually not true. She was educated at a very, very good university outside of the Ivy League. And she could cook. She was in shape. She was a personal trainer. And she was gorgeous too. Fitness model as well as personal trainer. And I'm just like, now I know why I want to do pickup. I want a girl like her. This is the dream girl. Okay, good. They exist and they're around LA. Whitney. Okay, LA is a pretty small place. Hollywood's a small place. Okay, it wasn't but like, I don't know, 7 months after I got there, that I'm in the same exact place as Whitney, and we're doing this like pickup workshop. And
she's in it.
What's that? She's in the build. I mean, she's getting a drink in the place or whatever. And I didn't know that at first, but the guys that was leading the pickup thing was talking to Whitney, and I was like, oh my God, there's that girl. Yeah. That's a girl. I'm just like, I want to see this happen, because if this guy can get her, then I'm going to follow him with all my everything. And the night progressed, and it turns out she was more of a good girl. She wasn't going to go home with him. Yeah. And I chatted with her too, pretended not to know about her, like, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't read your bio on your website like 5 times. So as things went, the night ended, and the guy that was leading the pickup thing shot me a text. He goes, "Hey, Whitney wants your number." And I was like,
Oh wow.
whoa, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, she just chose me over this, you know, like pickup god supposedly. And that fucking flipped a lot of shit for me. It was, I'm just like, and I ended up going out with her a few times. Totally boring, so uptight, couldn't, like, you know, come on, drink some wine, let's get in the hot tub. She's like, well, I actually had my, you know, no, it just wasn't, it wasn't good. And in person, she was looked a bit older than she'd looked on her good pictures or something. Very pretty girl, just some girl that I'm gonna have to see for 3 months before we do anything. You know?
Yeah.
And even when I got good at this and was more aggressive, it still would have been a month and a half. There's some girls like that. There's nothing you're doing wrong. But that flipped a switch that this guys that I like look up to, it was like, I'm potentially getting the chicks I want over them. I just need to just trust my instincts and go with it. Like, that was definitely a turning point. Scotty brought out the killer instinct in me, and then those things come together, and that's pretty much GLL. It's actually not a bad summary of it, because that's
I've never even heard the story of that chick.
Yeah,
so that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll show her a picture. I'll show you a picture. She's married now and stuff, so
yeah.
Yeah. Her husband's such a fucking geek, dude.
Oh, really?
He's like a personal trainer, but one of those that's like feminine LA type.
Oh, yeah.
Not rugged.
I don't even, the qualifications for personal trainers nowadays is just like baffling. If you go to my local gym, for example.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, maybe I shouldn't say, because in case somebody sees it there, and I go there all the time. Anyway, there's like 30 trainers there that are hired, and I wouldn't even assume that any of them exercise, let alone resemble experts in the field.
Yeah.
Which is clearly not what these courses prepare you for anyways. Yeah. It's like general overview of like some shit that you can do in a week, and then you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And
here's
like,
a food pyramid.
Yeah, which is like the worst fucking indicator of nutrition I've ever seen, by the way. Yeah. But
doctors aren't much better, man. You go to a fucking
doctor, terrible.
Be like, what should I be eating? They're like, what do you mean eating?
Yeah.
Like, you know, with food? And they're like, yeah, balanced diet, man.
I got into like a horrible argument with a physician not that long ago about, well, it was like a me just correcting.
You can't let it go. These fucking professionals, man.
So I was like getting blood work for T3, and in Canada you get TSH tested, and then if your TSH is in range, they will not test your T4 or your T3, and then if your T4 is in range, they also won't check your T3. So you have to have like 2 prerequisites to be out of range to see your T3 in the first place. Yeah. And I think it was asking for a specific requisition form for T3. And then she was basically telling me how TSH is all that matters. And just like, she got so pissed when I said, isn't that just the hormone that dictates, you know, how much thyroid hormone you produce? And it's not your actual, like, I'd like to see my T3. Yeah. Because I could be a poor converter. I could be whatever. She's like, she got so fucking pissed, and she was like screaming at me, who's the doctor here?
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I've had many situations with family members where they were like misdiagnosed and received like shitty fucking terrible advice from doctors.
You think that's the Canadian part of the Canadian system? I'm not saying the American one is better, but I've heard stories like that.
I think like, to some extent, but I also think when it comes to hormones, doctors are just totally inept, because it's like
hormones and nutrition. Like, what does that stuff matter?
Yeah, it's like they have. I don't know if they're like 10 years. How long does it take to get a doctorate? I don't even know. 8-10 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, I don't know how long the hormone part is, but it's like the issue is these guys, they just get, here's the reference range, which is insanely general and could account for anywhere from 6 to like 90-year-olds. Right. And if you're in that, then you're healthy. And it's like, obviously fucking not. But one brutal example actually is did I tell you about my buddy Frank, who died from pulmonary embolism?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this was like when I was 21. He had just genetically predisposed to high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He all of a sudden his calf started hurting really badly for no reason, and it was like swollen.
Yeah.
And he went to the doctor. They told him, "Oh, you probably just injured it at the gym." It was like literally bruising, and they were like, "Oh, you probably messed it up at the gym."
Wow.
And it was like swollen to the point where he had to take time off work, and he was like breathing heavy, and just classic signs of you have like a blockage and then something is bad.
Yeah.
And so he ends up having a baseball-sized blood clot that dislodges and goes into his brain and kills him.
Oh, my God.
And that was at 21. And it was just the lack of a doctor. I think they checked his blood pressure, too, because that's just a general thing they do. And they literally looked at his blood pressure, which was like 160 over 120, and told him, "You're fine. You heard it at the gym." Like, they didn't think that they say you're too young for, like, the possibility of anything.
Right.
But when you have, like, sludge blood going around your system because it's so viscous or vicious or however you would say it, it's just like it just got caught up in his calf, I guess, and started building up into this giant thing, and it went unaddressed, and it could have just been fixed by...
Was he telling you about it at the time?
Yeah, he was telling me. I wasn't knowledgeable enough to think that at the time that, get a x-ray done. I forget what the test is. I think it would be an x-ray of your arteries or your veins or whatever to see where if there's a clot, which would be like the first thing you do.
Yeah.
And then if there is one, then you take blood thinners and get it fixed.
Right.
Which he would be alive still if he got that done and was on blood pressure medication to begin with. But it was just like the lack of
21. Wow.
Yeah. So like the lack of attention to fucking detail of doctors just thinking they know everything, and then unfortunately family assuming a doctor's telling you correct information because you're just predisposed to assuming doctors know everything. And more often than not, when it comes to important matters, you have to be your own doctor, and that's partly why I like research the hell out of stuff. But a lot of real world examples now that I've been through where getting your health checked is like doing it yourself. Like, get a doctor's opinion, but I mean, like, literally get your own blood work and look at it. Yeah. Get your own tests done, look at it, and assess them yourself. Like, when I used to blast high amounts of anabolics, I've gone into the hospital for unrelated things. Like, I hurt my leg once, and they, like, checked my blood pressure, and it was, like, it was so high, and a lot of it was because I was stressed, obviously, but I've had situations where I had very high blood pressure to the point that I had a bloody nose while I was working out. Oh, wow. And, like, that's not good. No. Like, if you're on D-ball and you have, like, a fucking bloody nose during your deadlift, you're not supposed to be getting bloody noses during deadlifts. So, and then a doctor will just not even tell you. Like, it's insane. Yeah. They just, like, do their preliminary checks, and then if something's, like, massively off, they won't even mention it. And it's just like, I've learned you guys.
The doctors give you problems because of your physique.
Oh yeah, it's like for walk in, you on steroids.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's like the first thing, and it's like for something totally fucking unrelated.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be like, hey, can I get like, I don't know, blood work for this? And it's like nothing to do with anabolics at all. And it's just like, well, you on steroids? It's like, what the fuck? Like, can I just get what I need? Like, God damn it.
Thankfully, I've had good enough doctors, not after a bit of a search in all the cities I've lived in, that would pretty much... There's two types of doctors. One that you tell them what you know and what you think it is and what you think you need, and some like that. They're like, okay, great, yeah. And there's others that don't want to hear it from you at all.
Yeah.
And it's a generational thing. Really with people, too. I mean, because the older generation... Like, they don't know how their body works. They don't know the medications they're on or what they do. They don't know anything except that they need to trust the doctor. Even when you come at them with a ton of research and tell them, you know, and even personal cases that you've read online of this person was taking this medication, they were having this side effect, and that is why you were getting headaches every day. Yeah. You know, it's not this new thing that the doctor's saying. And, but older generations, they trust the doctors like they live forever.
Yeah, they'll let them prescribe them super addictive, hardcore medications that are obscenely expensive, and over something else because it's not like big pharma funded,
Yeah.
for example, which we could get into for hours, I'm sure. But
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely be your own doctor is the best advice I can give in that regard. But
Your non-medical opinion, of course.
yeah, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
This isn't for education and information purposes only. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. People should know what's going on in their bodies, though. They really
Yeah. Like if you need a doctor
not
to
hard either.
relay it to you and like explain things, then you don't know enough about what's going on.
And at least in the USA, anytime you get blood work that's actually through a doctor and he calls you or whatever, tells you the result, like ask him for a copy of that blood work. Like they have to give it to you legally. At least here they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah. It's like your property, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Canada, it's like you ask for a login to get this online thing, and then you can see your results in real time when they get released, as opposed to typically they call you and make you come in so you can see what the doctor thinks is, you know, and then they don't even show it to you unless you specifically ask, which is dumb. The first thing should be, here's the paper and like here's what I think is going on and why. And then obviously a doctor's not going to say do your own research, but they should.
A lot of people don't know they can just get their own blood work. I mean, it's kind of a basic thing that we know, and those who are in the game of fitness. But yeah, you can go online, healthtestdirects.com, walkinlab.com. You can get your testosterone measured for $55. You know, you go to a lab and then your results are online in 48 hours. But a lot of people think you have to go to a doctor to find out what's going on with you.
Yeah, and in Canada, there's even less of an excuse because it's all free.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's all free, but if you're paying basic medical services, which is like $37 a month or something, you can get essentially anything. And even if you don't have like a regular doctor, you can go to a walk-in clinic and just see somebody, wait your turn, and get what you need, you know?
Okay.
Like some doctors are less open-minded than others, obviously, and might refuse to give you that requisition form for blood work. But if you have like a legitimate issue and you explain why you need something, more often than not, you should be able to get a requisition form to get what you need for free. And there's just like so many people that don't.
Here's the symptom: fatigue. You can say fatigue, and you can get anything measured, and insurance will pay for it. Just a little tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah, the States, I don't know 100% how everything works, but I feel like
honestly.
I literally know some guys, though, who've got infections and shit, and they've avoided going to the doctor because they don't want to pay. And they just like hope it heals on its own. And to me, that seems insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like, is a doctor's visit expensive here, or how's it work?
Well, there's a copay, but then if you need anything done for it, well, it depends. Depends what's going on. Like, a trip to the emergency room here.
Like, say you needed like emergency IV antibiotics.
Yeah, a couple $1,000 probably.
Fuck,
Yeah.
that's insane to me.
Yeah, it is insane.
Like for me, it would be like drive myself to emergency, walk in, check myself in, probably wait a couple hours, but then I'd get in, I'd get what I need, and it'd be free.
Yeah. Well, here, I mean, you have insurance that covers some stuff, and you never really know until you get the bill and find out how much they're paying for. So all you can do is like get the best insurance, but people can't always afford that.
I never really understood. Like I've heard many times. Obviously, I don't know how the government works here really. For a lot of things, like healthcare most specifically is what I'm talking about. But like I've heard that the reason there is no medical coverage just given out easily kind of thing, and it's not free, is that here you can get things done. It's like better quality service and it's way quicker, but then you have to pay for it. And so like if you broke your leg or tore your ACL, you get in within like a day, but you'd pay for it, as opposed to it being free in Canada and you'd have to wait.
So like if you tore your ACL in Canada, it'd be
well, that's the thing. I think there's a misconception that you won't get in for months or something, which isn't the case.
Right.
And I always hear USA people justifying the medical system here by saying, well, if you get injured in Canada, like you're not going to get in when you need to. And like I've never had an issue with that. I don't know anyone who has, and it's always free. So that's why I never understood why the system in Canada doesn't work here. Like I hear US people argue that it's it's better here
Yeah.
and it's quicker, which may be the case, but I don't understand why it's not like why it couldn't be covered or it's too expensive to cover when Canada isn't that subpar. You might wait a few hours in emergency, but you're going to get what you need, you know?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of political reasons behind it. And even though I lean to the right on most things and libertarian, not conservative, there's a lot of political reasons and corporate reasons that we don't have universal health care. And I don't know. My thoughts on it are just like we spend so much damn money on military, you know, if we put that into healthcare, we could have what we wanted, probably. So the insurance companies basically wrote Obamacare, which was Obama's has his name on it, but the insurance companies basically wrote it. So they have that, and that was supposed to be like this fix that everyone was supposed to like and everything like that. It's been largely, I guess, a little better than what we had before, but not so much really. And so they just spent all this time writing that. They don't want to do something else because it's working for them and making them money. It definitely comes down to the profit motive in this country, but it's a tough issue because it's just like a lot of people want to just remove the profit incentive and just have all these companies be like non-profits or something like that. And it's just like, okay, well then you're not going to get good quality and you're not going to get innovative medicine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how Canada stands on that in regards to making it all work financially, because clearly I'd like to say we're better off, but I don't necessarily know that the quality of care is better because I've never done anything here.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe doctors are better educated here. I don't know. Like you made it sound like you can get, like the way you've told me about getting like your thyroid and all that stuff, it sounds like everyone, well, at least your doctors in particular, have been a lot more, like privy to hormonal things than people in Canada. That's for sure.
I've had an eye to pick like good doctors and stuff like that. And I would like, this is true of any kind of professional that I want to work with.
Yeah.
You know, I'll read his bio on his website, find out where the guy went to college or something, or just find something that I have in common with him. And when I sit down, I start talking to him about that, and then it kind of goes into his personal life.
That's good.
But yeah, shit. Recently, with lawyers, man, it's just morons. But yeah, I mean, hey, the older doctors, man, like chicken soup. I don't believe in this or that, and it's just you're not getting anywhere with them.
Yeah, it's true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So anyway, one thing a lot of people won't know is you're engaged to get married, which I feel like is an interesting topic to touch on, considering a lot of guys who view this, especially from the GLL community, view you as like an authority on how to get women. But one of my things that was, I got past that phase a long time ago, and my kind of like thing I always wanted to see from you that kind of never came to be fully, largely because of, like work commitments and stuff. And obviously you don't have as much time to make content now, is relationship management and like long-term stuff. Because I know like you covered getting women, retaining them up to the point of being a full-blown, like player, and how to get your sex life in check to a point where you can get women and you don't have to, that part of your life you're confident enough in that you can check it off and you don't feel like you're missing out. You don't feel like you missed out on something that you need to make up for, and you can move on with your life and focus on important things and just integrate that naturally into your lifestyle after, which is the whole point of, I feel like, sleeping with a bunch of women in the first place. The whole point is to get to a point where you're confident that you can, should you need to, never be reliant on one chick, never feel like you're stuck in a bad relationship. If you get something happens that you're not happy with it, you can get out and you could replicate that result again and find somebody better. Yeah. So after that point though, you never really touched on like healthy long-term relationships and marriage and whatnot. So like obviously you've been with your fiance for a while. Yeah. And how'd that kind of like transition from the player stuff into like long-term relationship go? Like, were you ever at a stage where you're like, no way, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have like a...
Yeah, that was before all this pickup stuff though. I kind of said like, I'd see myself getting married around age 42. No, I'm 36 now, so it's not that far off, but
Yeah.
it definitely is a bit. And I think the guys that are, I mean, there's a huge sect online of manosphere guys that are just against any sort of commitment, let alone a monogamous commitment anyway. And but once you start getting laid, it's like it gets old just like everything else. So
Right.
At that point, I always tell guys, if you're so fortunate to be in your early 20s, your 20s should be about getting laid, having fun, get that out of your system. 30s, make your money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the 40s is for, but I'll tell you in a few years. But yeah, I mean, if you're so fortunate to like, I don't know, have a good sex life in your early 20s, like that's fantastic. You won't roll into your middle and latter 20s feeling like you missed out on something. So but the transition was kind of like, it was a lifestyle transition really, because it was like I was going to prioritize making money as I got into closer to my 30s than, it's another year of going out to clubs and sticking stuff up your nose and stuff like that. It's like that to a point.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've done that now.
Yeah.
I've done it during the daytime and all this kind of stuff. There's some guys that like really, really like having sex with girls. It's not that I don't, but it's not like I was an addict of it either. There's a lot of guys, and you can never tell. It's like, do you actually like this experience? Or are you constantly trying to fucking prove something to yourself, or you have some like number in mind,
That's the big thing too that I realized, and a lot of guys will not realize until you get to this point, is that there comes a time where sleeping with new hot women all the time isn't as amazing as it seems, in the sense that yes, sex is great and getting girls is great, but once you've been there and you've done that and you've set like a lay count goal and you've just gone hard and you've got past that point of I need to validate to myself that I know I can do this.
Yeah.
And also past the point where you feel you need to tell all your buddies about every notch you got. Because there's definitely a big stage where, at least for me, it was between my 18 to, like, I wasn't even getting laid when I was 18, but I was still like in that stage where I would, if anything fucking happened, dance with some chick, And you can't wait to tell your buddy the next day about it.
Yeah.
And going from that to like 22 or 23 max maybe, where I just went so fucking hard with the pickup stuff. And the first thing you think when you get laid isn't, first there's the high of getting laid. It's like, wow, I just like slept with a girl and she's attractive and like I can do this. And then next is, let me get online, get on my phone and call my buddies and text them and be like, yo. So, like just getting that validation from your buddies
in the early stages.
And like once you feel like, after you do it enough times, it gets to the point where you literally don't feel like you need to tell the world about it. And that's, once you get to that point, I think you've kind of gotten really close to beating that stage. Because I used to be like, man, like that chick was like a 9. I got to tell everyone, And like waiting for guys to tell me like, yo, sick job, bro. You know, and that was like where I'd get my high of the day kind of thing. And now I don't even really talk about it, Like I just date, and if people ask, I'll tell them like what's going on. But I've never been like, like I stopped talking about like lay reports when I was like 22.
Right.
And even if you go on GLL forums, it's like, I don't think I've posted an actual like experience or log since then. And it's not, you guys have to understand that once you get to that point, it's like, that's the goal, is to not care about getting laid that much anymore. Because once you know you can do it, and you value yourself enough, and you can get laid, and you're like entitled to, not entitled to getting laid, but like you're confident enough in your ability to replicate it that you aren't reliant on self-validation of it anymore. That's like the turning point. And when you can get on with your life with the next stage and just like dating becomes integrated as opposed to a priority over everything else.
Right.
And,
it becomes part of a lifestyle. The lifestyle is never to spend a decade, walking around Hollywood trying to throw girls into a bathroom. Like that's not really the goal. Certainly not the long-term goal. Because I get comments on my YouTube videos that when I do look at them, there's always several really from people saying this guy is pathetic. He's going to be 50 years old, miserable, and like trying to get young girls, and he's going to end up getting put in jail. That was never my goal, but that's coming. He sees that from his perspective of,
it's the total opposite in reality.
Totally,
it's more like this guy's getting everything done out of his system, or just like finding a new relationship or whatever, and then he's the one getting girls and you're at home commenting on videos.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's not anything to reply to. But yeah, what I wanted to say earlier before we broke off for a bit was good looking loser is get laid stuff versus the pickup stuff is like pickup girl stuff. It's not quite the same thing. If the distinction is, if you read GLL, you'll see how it's different. But that is the basis of like getting into a committed relationship. About like you can get laid, and because you can get laid, that means you have options, and because you have options, that means you're not going to put up with bullshit and really not have the relationship not on your terms. Now it does have to be at least appear as like a mutual thing. It can't be this like abusive relationship. But the guys that are abusive and controlling, they're insecure. They think their girl's fucking all these other guys because they don't think like. They don't realize that. That's
a key thing too that a lot of people don't get. If you ever think like that, you're in a relationship and that crosses your mind and you care, you haven't gotten past the stage that you need to. Like,
or you're mostly.
Like you're not confident enough in yourself yet.
Through
lack of experience likely, or just lack of experience with that caliber of women perhaps. Because if you're just getting a bunch of 6s consistently and then you have a 9 and then you are holding on for dear life because you don't think you can get a 9 again, it doesn't matter if you got laid 100 times in the past. You're still in that like desperate mindset and you haven't got past that phase, in my opinion. So I don't know. That's a big takeaway too.
It's all about options because girls, let's face it, they have more options than guys. Even girls that aren't attractive have more options than guys. There'll be 10 guys lining up to be, a free boyfriend, 10 chumps lining up. Thankfully, the high quality girls, like, they're not into that. So it's not as like, chicks can get laid whenever they want. They don't value that though. You only want what you can't have. And that's kind of like, back to what you were saying, when does the pickup stuff get old? It's like, when you already have. So, but I do think though, that at least in my quote journey, it was like, I say it was like a good year, but truthfully it was like on and off for like 2.25 years where I wasn't really any good. Getting laid once a month. I remember my first real year at it where I was doing nothing else. Well, that's not true because I should have been doing nothing else than trying to hook up with girls, but I was sitting around playing Xbox and stuff. Like it wasn't really serious. I got 12 girls that year. And that is more than any other year prior. But these were girls I picked up, not, from, girls that were introduced to me or at school or something like that. So it was a bit of an accomplishment. But at some point, it wasn't after that 12, it was sometime into the next year where I was like, hey, this is really working for me. And I really should put more time into this because this isn't as just random as like maybe I thought it was. And, so then for a good, I don't know, year and a half, it was fun. Like it really was fun. Part of me was saying though, dude, you're like 27, you just quit law school. The friends you're texting or something, they have, maybe their job sucks, but they're at least doing it on their own. Where you're living off of like selling supplements in the gym to people. And dude, you should get a life. So that was, you should get like, do something more traditional than what you're doing. And that voice was in the back of my head, but it's real exciting when, I don't know, you're just like, you believe so hard that like, yeah, I can get girls, like I'm in shape and all this stuff. Like I really should be doing better than I am. And then you finally start doing better. You're like, whoa, this is working. This is fun. So it wasn't quite at the point where I realized I could do it that it didn't become fun anymore. It was like another year and a half after that. Like and some guys go way longer than that.
Do you think you prolonged that phase simply for the education you provide on GLL, or was it you actually wanted to continue it?
No, I stopped because I was gonna kill myself. Like honestly, what I mean by like the party scene in LA, like it was.
So like we're talking like late 2011, GLL is born.
Right.
It's like the kind of like bare bones version of the site. There's not really content yet, but you're starting, and you did like.
I'm at the tail end of stuff.
Really am. So at that point, were you like, I have to keep going for the content and to help people though, as opposed to like.
I knew it all that. It's simple too. Like
right. But I mean, like you created pickup videos continuing for the next year and a half.
Right.
Was that for GLL, or did you actually want to do that?
Both. I mean, I was still single, so.
Right.
But what it like, it gave going out more of a purpose again.
Yeah.
Like doing these videos until you find out they're like impossible to shoot because of camera angles and audio, and it's just like you're gonna have to do like so you. Walk up to 100 girls. Okay, that probably takes you like 3 days, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
that experiment, by the way, the 100-girl approach experiment was like one of the most eye-opening things I've ever seen online.
Oh, really?
If you don't know that, I don't know.
You can link that.
What's the article called again? It's like it's probably just like I approached 100 girls in 3 days or something.
What would happen if I approached 100 chicks?
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
So you guys should look at that.
Early on,
He legitimately just cold approached 100 girls and reported his results. And it's very eye-opening to see, because there's a big misconception that if you're like a top-tier elite guy or whatever you want to call it, or like a PUG, pickup guru, or like whatever.
Nice.
I still remember like all the acronyms, which is funny. Then every girl you hit on just equates to a lay, which is so not the case. Even if you're a 9 or a 10 guy, if the girl isn't, single, looking to meet somebody new, doesn't have a bunch of shit going on in her life, a million other factors that could influence her decision, it's not going to pan out regardless of how. You could claim, oh, what if you're like a celebrity and shit? There's still going to be situations where like your chances increase the more attractive and rich and successful and socially outgoing
you have to do
and
less
stuff.
work.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're still not going to be going approach equals lay. Like a realistic ratio for a top tier guy is like 5%.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like 5 to 7. Some months you can bet 12%, I would say. And honestly, if you're keeping these numbers,
it can go back and forth. And keeping analytics is kind of like.
That's not the guys that get laid. That experiment was literally like for the blog. So something like that would be for the.
But hearing that statistic is really helpful for a lot of guys who delude themselves into thinking they're failures and can't get results because they keep getting rejected. But what you have to understand is, you will get rejected 10 times more than you have success, and that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Because
you're not actually getting rejected like if you're an above average looking guy, if the girl's just not, as we said, sexually available. So for whatever reason, and there's so many reasons with chicks, it's just like one of their friends got married like the prior week, and then the girl's like, she's like 26 and she's like, oh, I'm 26, I have nobody. And then you come along and you think that's like a good thing, but no, and you come off as like a player or something. She's like, I hate these dirty players, I want a husband, so there's a lot of stuff. Like she could see an emotional movie the night before and you walk up. Or she could watch Jersey Shore or something and be like, these guys are such douchebags. I hate these guys. And then someone like us comes up. Yeah, it's not going to go well. So, that was a big insight where it like wasn't as personal.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys don't realize too that if you, exactly what you said. If you get rejected, it doesn't necessarily mean she's rejecting you based upon you're not good enough, because that likely isn't always the case. Not to say that you shouldn't go out of your way to max out every possible avenue of, your characteristics, style, social freedom, looks, etc. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, even if you are like a 9 out of 10 guy or whatever, you're going to get rejected a lot. And that's just how it works because not every girl is looking to get laid that night.
If you come on strong, though, like we suggest in GLL, just in or out, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to be like, I don't know. If 90% of the girls are just like not feeling it, like you're probably doing good because 10%, like, you know, you're not gonna have to work on these girls. That was one of the big differences that Brian Scotty told me. It was like, it's just like there's no like, because all the pickup stuff is like, all right, you meet them, get the number, and then there's this like progressive thing where you like work on them, date 1, date 2, that kind of stuff. But it's like, I mean, you see where they stand like right away. Yeah. And those are the girls you're taking home.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different ball game. You know, high risk, high reward. Yeah. It's never a risk, but I guess in these days maybe it's a risk a bit more. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of guys, the issue is they say I can't get laid, but they just don't approach women, and then they wonder why they can't get laid. And to me, it's baffling because I guess I can't say that because back in the day, I used to have the same mindset. So it's easy to say from a perspective of I've done this already. But back in the day when I didn't know what I was doing, I would be like, oh, I work out and I like have a top physique. You know, I'm a bodybuild like 6 days a week. I eat perfect and I look pretty good. I'm like 6 feet tall. I dress good. Yeah. Why do I not get girls? Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my house watching fucking TV on Friday and Saturday night,
right?
Or every day of the week for that matter. Because one thing a lot of guys don't know too is you don't need to go to a bar to get laid, and that's probably where girls are on highest guard, realistically. To some extent, obviously, some are looking to get laid, some are there just to reject guys, some are there to hang out with their friends, have a good time.
They're for attention. Most girls are out for attention.
Yeah. So like the most success I've had is online and in daytime. Just no guys go approach girls in the middle of the day. You know, you see a girl at your local coffee shop while you're getting a coffee, like, oh, hey, how's your day going? I thought you were attractive. Just want to say hi and see what's going on. You know, it's not rocket science, but a lot of guys, they think, okay, well, I have Friday and Saturday to get laid, and if I don't get laid, then I gotta, like, wait till next week and go out to a better club or some shit. And it's just not the case. And the least amount of success I've had is actually in nighttime. And
night's interesting because there's bars and there are clubs, and they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
Bars are better for, getting laid. As far
huge
as
misconception too
that
clubs are,
and here's the reason. Girls that are going to clubs, they're in groups. They're not going to leave each other, very easily. They have a pre-party, they have an after-party planned. So working with that information, their logistics aren't quite as good. So clubs aren't as good. However, if you can get in the club scene, be a regular, know the promoters, bring girls with you to clubs, have the social proof, it does work out. Because you're getting late happens at the after parties. That's where it happens. And I was the first person to mention that. Yeah. Anyway, getting late happens at the after parties in the wee hours of the morning, not at 11 p.m. in a nightclub. Now, there's some exceptions to that, but most girls aren't going to leave their group of girls with a random guy and go home with him. Plus, a lot of girls drove there. There's a lot of complications.
Yeah, logistically, when it comes to nighttime, I don't think people understand. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going with my boys downtown. I'm drinking. We're going to cab home. Mm-hmm. These girls who are going out are with girlfriends. They're getting drunk. They have to cab home. Yeah. Your house is 40 minutes away from the downtown scene. In your head, have you conceivably, thought out?
Yeah, how's this going to play out? Because a lot of this is just planning it out.
I have to separate myself and this chick from her friends, somehow justify her to get in a cab with me to come 40 minutes home, and then figure out how to get her home and make sure nothing goes wrong in that time span. Yeah. Logistically, it's a nightmare.
And I have to convince her not to go into work tomorrow morning. Yeah. Or something. Yeah. Something like that. When I was doing this, though, 2000, end of 2006 to about 2010, and in between that, real serious, there was no Uber, there was no Tinder, there was a lot of stuff. Right. So it was in that and Plenty of Fish and OkCupid, like they
weren't what they are now.
Yeah, they're just starting out. So it was like, I mean, when I first got into this, Facebook was thefacebook.com. I mean, that's how long we're talking ago. And Hot or Not was like the dating site, and they just like had the subscription thing where you could message people if you paid like $7 a month, and that was like my first day. So it's like, that's one thing, man, about right now, this time, there is ample chance, like just there are opportunities for this generation of kids financially, with chicks, everything, creatively. Like, it's never been a better time to get alive, be alive. Forget what the news says. Like, this is like, you can really hold it down these days, and you don't need someone to do you any favors to get there. So
everything's like 100 times more efficient too, time wise, because back in the day, to get laid you have to go dedicate 3 hours to approaching, whereas now it's, well, I have, you know, you look good, you post your pictures online, you can literally reach out to 100 chicks in a day from your fucking toilet.
But we learned in the conditions where there wasn't like this online date, or online dating was around, but it was nothing. I guess there was like Match.com, and that's more of a relationship site. So it really wasn't like, not every average girl was like, oh, let's have a Tinder profile. Why not? So there was something to be said for that, because we had to do what we had to do, you know? And I don't know. Definitely abundant opportunities nowadays for sure. Getting back into the committed relationships, though, I
don't even think we've touched on the marriage thing.
You want to have options, because when you have options, a guy with options, fuck a girl with options, they're they're gonna put up with less stuff. So that's really key. It's not just about getting laid. It's about having options so you can walk. And the fact that both people can walk, because like pretty girls can walk, like they can. Once you get them emotionally invested, it's harder for them to walk. But in most cases, pretty girls can walk, and they will have more options right out of the gate than most guys. But the fact that two people can walk away from the table, so to speak, it actually makes their relationship stronger. And it's not a push-pull type of thing. It's kind of two people that want to be together but don't have to be. That's a foundation of a good relationship. And my girl, like, she did acting, modeling, and all that kind of stuff, but she's more of like a traditional type of relationship thing. We want to have a family, all that boring stuff, and it's not like one of the things about having options is you have to explore those options too. So you will find girls that are better fits for you than some others. Not necessarily the prettiest, not necessarily the ones that, like, they're the girls that will be better fits for you, but you won't really find someone who's like 98% compatible with you, if your options are, just girls who are over 200 pounds or something like that. I guess there's a lot of those, but I'm not even being rude. Like,
literally.
If you literally,
it's factual.
If you only know like your brother's set of friends and your best friend's like set of friends that maybe will be like 9 girls in all, it's not many options. So when you're drawing from a pool of 50 million girls or something, like, you're gonna find one you're more compatible with, and make that work. So the foundation of having a good relationship is, like, honestly, for guys, a healthy relationship with a girl that you're mostly compatible with is having options. Definitely is. So that's like I said, the foundation.
It's like one thing I've noticed is if one person is way more willing to walk away than the other, that's where it falls apart, kind of, because if one's just like absurdly more invested and overly attached, it's just your dependence is gonna wreck it, or it may not, but even if it does wreck it, you're the one who's in the disadvantaged position, being on the, if you don't have, you don't need leverage, but you need like an equal amount of willing to walk away if it didn't work.
Right.
And if that's not there, then you're probably not at the point where you should be in a relationship anyways, in my opinion, unless it was like purely for experience, I would think.
Yeah.
Because
and I'm not against that. I think guys that are virgins, the first girl they sleep with,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
should probably try to make that girl,
Yeah, for the sake of getting abundance of experience quickly, because if you just go for not one night stands all the time, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
Whereas
you can do everything under the sun sexually with one girl and have enough experience to please just about every other girl.
Yeah,
So,
which is pretty key, honestly, because otherwise, no matter how much porn you watch, you're not going to know what you're doing in person until you've done it a bunch of times.
you ever addicted to porn? I wasn't. That was like a whole movement.
No, but I find it funny how much people correlate it into pickup, which I guess it can.
Yeah.
Because, you like bust a nut, you get lazy, you just feel like sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never to the point for me where it like discouraged me from going out or it like fucked with my head. And like, I always wondered if I did NoFap, would I be like God mode or something? Because it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I just,
Yeah.
like ideally you'd get laid, but if you didn't,
Guys would always ask me like, "Oh, you need to write up a NoFap program." I'm just
like,
like,
we'll never
I was like,
done
"What
that.
is that? What is that?"
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. But
I can get how like abstaining from it can eventually build so much like in your head and like pent up shit that you force yourself to take action. But I also think it's like it could be like misdirected and like ruin your life at the same time because you feel so fucking pent up all the time.
the one thing though that guys can do that will like get them out and it's not jerking off. It's get rid of your laptop, give it to somebody for like a month, and then there you are. Your life's totally different now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like gaming and shit too. Nowadays, it's becoming like obviously games were popular when I was younger, but it's like a big escape for dudes who don't get laid, in my opinion. And it's like, I don't know. They, like obviously there's guys who have low T and low sex drives and just don't want to get laid in the first place. But then there's a lot of guys who, what else can I do than game? Because I'm not going to get laid. So let's just like immerse myself in this fucking never-ending MMORPG or some shit.
Yeah.
Let's get into World of Warcraft and ruin my life.
Yeah, that was the first big. So yeah, when I was starting, like World of Warcraft first came out. So this is how long ago.
Yeah.
Kind of making me feel old though, but there was no streaming when I was doing pickup and stuff. There was no Netflix and chill. Netflix, I think, just became like a DVD company, and they were like doing the mail thing and stuff.
Oh,
like
really?
that. Yeah.
I didn't even know they existed back before.
Yeah, Netflix was a mail like DVD type of thing. It was subscription service. Yeah, they were never always a streaming
Man, I
service.
remember going to rent movies back in the day. Shit. I used to rent video games too.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's crazy.
So this interesting video. It was Blockbuster Video. It was Blockbuster.
Yeah, that was one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone has the notion that like Netflix put Blockbuster out of business. It's partially true, but from my research on it was Blockbuster could have easily gotten into the mail order DVD thing, and they did at a later date. They could have gotten into streaming too. In fact, they had more Netflix or more resources than Netflix to explore this streaming thing.
Yeah.
They were confident that they didn't need to get into streaming because people loved the Blockbuster experience of walking into the store and walking around and looking at the covers of movies. They considered that an experience, not a fucking hassle, but an experience.
So
I was building this list because I was actually going to write a blog post on this, but of course, way too busy to entertain that. But the list was like, what are things that adults or other people congratulate each other on that are not meant to be congratulated, that are just fucking stupid? Now, that might not seem like, something like comes off the top of your head, but girl gets pregnant. She's not with a man. She probably has other kids. She was living on food stamps. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Are you excited? To have your fourth fucking kid out of wedlock.
You just fucked up. But
yeah, exactly.
You're basically obligated to say, great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I have some friends who have fucking terrible tattoos.
Yeah.
But it's like they're like, what do you think? They got like
I'll write that one down.
They got like a $50 tattoo somewhere. Oops. And like, what do you think, bro? And you're like, oh, sick, dude.
Yeah.
Looks great.
You just get a student loan, you're never going to pay back ever.
Yeah.
basically just signed your life away. You're gonna have to work in some
Yeah.
shitty job just to do that. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Incredible.
There's this guy who I follow for where is it? He has a very good. He posted on Instagram about college, and it was like the most accurate thing I've ever seen. Let me see if I can bring him up here.
Yeah, so if you guys at home have any idea of like any further ideas of what people congratulate each other on that are just fucking terrible decisions, please let me know. This is what I have. College, getting a loan on a house, joining the army, pregnancy, of course, out of wedlock, car, getting a new car you can't afford. Congratulations. Getting married young when you haven't, even really met any other girls. Congratulations. You found your soulmate. Who knew that it was the only other girl you've ever spoken to? And now Derek's a tattoo. So if you know any other stuff, stupid shit that adults reinforce and say that is like a good idea, congratulations. That's just completely stupid. Let me know.
Okay.
I'll look at the comments.
This this guy, Alex Becker, he's a guy I follow on Instagram and YouTube. He says he's like a marketing kind of like make money online guy, and he says funny thing I realized about college, if I pitched a $50,000 to $100,000 online business course with 100% no refunds, no guarantees, debt you cannot default on, 0 refunds even if you do not use it, then made it so at the end, if you don't pass my test, you cannot use anything you learned in the course to get a job. But I still kept your money and then offered you the chance to pay me again for another course. And then in the course, hired people who had never owned a business to teach, provided rehashed information you could find with a Google search, filled half the course with irrelevant info, and then I spent all the money I made to build monuments to how cool I am and giant stadiums where I forced athletes to play sports unpaid in return to take my course, and then pushed onto society that they cannot get hired unless they take my course, and pushed employers to not hire people unless they first paid me $50,000 for the chance to take my course. Keyword chance. They still have to pass my test to get credited for it. And then my students were so unsuccessful at making an ROI on what I charged them for that, I literally created a huge debt problem in the US. Oh, and then I called you or sent you letters every month asking you to donate money to me. Yes, after I have put you in debt and made hundreds of millions, I am calling you to ask you to donate to me so you can be a good alumni. Come on, be a team player. Well, I would be labeled the one of the biggest fraudsters in online history, and the FTC would probably shut me down and sue me into the ground. I'd probably do jail time just from the public outrage alone, but it's cool when colleges do it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good. Was that on Instagram?
Yeah.
Wanted to post that on Facebook. Well, see, I don't know what your kind of group of friends. Obviously, I have real life friends, yourself, Mike, and others. But,
Yeah.
Online I can have my Facebook friends that are kids from way back. Not kids, we're all adults now. But back from high school and stuff like that. And I've taken such a different path in my life. Whereas they, did the traditional thing, and now they're most of them in jobs that they absolutely hate. And they become like really defensive about like establishment stuff, college, vaccines. They're like personally offended.
Jeez.
So it's like hilarious because
I don't get. It's like people want to justify their own like fuck ups.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like,
and that's what this list is really.
It's like, I got a degree in business, completely useless. I'll admit that.
Didn't even get you a visa.
Yeah. I literally do marketing for a living, and it has helped me zero. Didn't teach me how to make a website, didn't teach me about email marketing, didn't teach me about social media posting, didn't teach me about SEO, didn't teach me about a million fucking things. But besides the point, the degree itself has not helped in any shape or form.
Yeah.
But like my parents, for example, they wanted me to get the degree so much, and they helped fund me getting it.
Right.
So they're like, they just want me to say like, you're glad you have it though, right?
Yeah.
To like make themselves feel better. But it's like,
yeah,
you pretty much just flushed $100,000 or $200,000 down the toilet.
Yeah. Lenahan has a chemical engineering degree to which he got like I think a scholarship for grad school. I don't know, but it's some pretty like
big deal thing.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal thing. You know, he's making twice as much money working for Happy Hippo, you know, and make his own schedule. So it's like, it's funny how these things work. But it's all because of the internet, man, you know?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, there's more, the amount of just resources people have to get what they want, not even leave their house. Although that's not suggested necessarily if it's girls you want, but unlimited these days.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
changed so much. Yeah, so people shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I don't really know if I guess I'm in the generation, not the youngest one anymore. What is it, millennials, and then what's the
No,
next
you
one?
always be millennial.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's like the generation under that? Is it
Generation
like
Z.
Oh, it's like a new category,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I wonder what their like general mindset is, because they were like born with everything already there, whereas me, I was like there. I was young pre-internet, but I was also like in the growth, like very young growth phases while it was like all unfolding.
Yeah.
And now it's like full blown here for everyone in the next generation, but like I'm in that transition period. I wonder how they look at it differently than I do.
I feel old because I'm actually interested in this like generational like theory and shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm like this. That's the way to make you feel old, just because you're like evaluating like the younger kids. Yeah. In general, from what I've seen, is every generation rebels in some sort of way against the previous one.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of like, you know, what's baby boomers before us.
Yeah.
It's just every kids rebel against their parents in the previous generation.
Right.
So what I hear about Generation Z is they're not into all this social justice shit. Now, a lot of them are, but most of them find that censorship, like they're supposedly the most conservative generation in since World War II. That's
really?
what I'm hearing. How do you know if an 8-year-old's conservative? I don't know.
Yeah.
But they love like PewDiePie and stuff like that. South Park had an episode on that where Ike, the little Canadian brother, was like watching PewDiePie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like an older one, but
that's crazy. That shows how mainstream that shit's really getting.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Definitely. And like PewDiePie, is PewDiePie bigger than South Park? I mean, apples to oranges, I guess.
I wonder how many views the South Park episode gets now. Like it's kind of insane when you actually think about like when you actually compare number of views of just like YouTube videos to real like news networks and shit. And you'll have like comparable figures, you know?
Yeah.
You have some guy making a webcam video and it's like formidable to that of a high production company that has like 100 employees.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Easily.
Yeah.
And that's humiliating for them, and that's why they're pulling out the censorship. I forgot Generation X, so it's baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Generation Z. And each generation kind of rebelled against some aspects of the previous generation. Z is not down with all the millennial, you know, social justice madness, feminism, like all that kind of stuff.
That's interesting because I assume the younger, the more like bad they'd be for that shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, but supposedly they're like really conservative. But that's not even necessarily like conservative. It's like they don't like, we hate minorities because we're not into like this perverted form of social justice, which, you know, classifies everyone by race and stuff like that. Or, we hate women because we're not down with third wave feminism and stuff like that. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't even get I don't know if those kind of like extreme people that fall into those categories represent like just the loudest insane minority, and that's why like it seems like it's so prevalent, but it's just because they're so fucking loud and whiny, or if it's like actually a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because it's like usually the people who complain are the ones you notice, because everyone else just, you know, is chill and doesn't, you know, complain about stuff all the time.
That's a good question.
Like I wonder what the actual breakdown is of.
I do think guys are more feminine. Like I do, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not even just like fashion trends, so to speak, with my pink shirt here. It's not that guys are just more. It could be the testosterone, you know.
I actually do think it's hormonal because it's like it's not a coincidence that when you increase androgen loads in your body, you just become more sexual and you want to like fuck chicks.
Yeah, you're way more.
You know, and it's definitely not a coincidence that when your test is way lower, you like are asexual essentially, and you like are emotional and like have mood swings and
Right.
you know, and it's just I don't know, it's just a lot of these guys they have obviously high voice isn't 100% indicative of anything, but it's
Right.
obviously proven that androgens will deepen your voice,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like higher voice people typically tend to I don't know, be more
Emasculate.
yeah, you know what I mean. And it's just like funny how it correlates exactly like that.
It's hormonal. It's also cultural, though. I mean, just there's a total, not to go all manosphere, but it's just like, I'm half white, so I can actually see both sides, the minority side and the Caucasian side.
Yeah.
There's definitely a disdain for white people, no
Yeah.
question. White males especially. And so it's partly that. It's like trendy. It's trendy to you know, act like gender anonymous. Like I think it is.
Yeah.
But are most guys really like that? I don't know. Here in Boise, they're way different than LA.
Yeah.
Guys juiced homobodybuilding.com, Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
Guys are juiced to the max, like in the gym here.
Yeah.
It's just LA, it's definitely not that way.
Yeah, it seems more like obviously I don't really know, but like more like rugged, you know, work on like physical labor kind of blue collar stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to let's get in our super tight jeans and go like
snort coke and talk about social justice.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro. Have you I found this app on the iTunes store. It's probably on all the different platforms, but you can download episodes so you can watch them on the plane. Now Netflix allows you to download, Amazon Prime you can download that, but Hulu you couldn't. So I got this app, now I can download all Hulu stuff.
Yeah.
And I downloaded all this South Park and stuff like that. So I was like, first time I've like watched it in years.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. And they tackle like these social issues and stuff like that. Have you seen like PC Principal, the character?
No. I've watched all the old seasons of South Park, but
they're amazing now.
Yeah.
They are. This principal comes into the school and he's all about social justice, but he's like a bro looking guy.
Yeah.
And he tries to make it like sound cool.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's discrimination against minorities. Cool. Not cool, bro. And PC Principal. He's hilarious. The guys at home probably know exactly what I'm talking about if you like South Park, but
you saw the Family Guy clip I sent you of the Millennials episode or whatever? Fuck, that was spot on.
See, and then that goes back to my question. It's like, is our generation of millennials really more bigger pussies than the previous generation? Like if you compare it to like the World War II generation, it's like easy, like definitely.
I saw a really,
but isn't that every generation? Like we're just slowly becoming
but it's like I feel like it's like
females.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I think definitely, but it's also like your environment and what you perceive as like fair based on your surroundings. I think because back then it's like commonplace to be like, hey, you're a man, like get the fucking war with a gun. Now it's like some guy like bumps you by accident. It's like assault, you know, like fucking ridiculous. So I saw a good meme. It was like it showed like a picture of like hundreds of years ago, people like dying from like the plague or something, and then it showed like 100 years ago or like I guess less, and regarding war, and it's like guys going to war. And it's like, oh, I gotta go to war, and then it's like it shows current people, and it's like I'm offended, and they're just like chilling there, just hanging out, and they're like just as discouraged about life as people who are like literally having to go like shoot people without choice. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just
I know exactly which one you're talking about. I can't quite picture it, but there's another one meme. Our generation all looking at their cell phones. You know, that's a typical theme pushed around. Everyone's looking at an iPhone. But then the previous generation, they're all looking at newspapers.
Right.
It's like it's not that it was the same thing, just in a different, medium. So
what do you think the next step is for like technology stuff? Or do you have any idea? Just like everything's getting so extremely just life is just focused entirely around devices and like, at cutting yourself off from the external world by thinking you're immersing yourself in it through devices kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
You think it's just going to get worse kind of thing?
Well, it's like it's worse, but it's better, man. Like when we're at a stage where we are now, it's just like minus the censorship and just like the corporatism that's, you know, censoring opinions they don't like and stuff like that. I mean, it's like it really is the best of times, and it's also like kind of the worst of times for different.
Yeah, as much as I love that it gives guys like us an opportunity to reach people with information, and that's amazing. At the same time, it's like I think so responsible for a lot of like the betaization of males, which isn't necessarily like it's bad in the sense that, you know, our species is evolving like backwards almost, it seems like, but it also gives guys who
it's really like a transition. It's like almost like every male out there is actually trans, and it's like slowly becoming female in the opposite way. But
if you still fall into that elite minority of guys who are like polar, you know, they just stand out that much more. You know what I mean?
There's not a hell of a lot of competition.
Exactly.
There's really not.
So it's like, in a sense, it's like I used to look at it like a bad thing, but I almost encourage it now. Well, I don't encourage it, but I'm like, I'm not opposed to it happening.
Hey, bro, take these estrogen pills.
Yeah, like, goddamn. I definitely can't get on board with a lot of this shit.
Everyone in manosphere and this, you know, masculinity guys that are like into that have any sort of like remembrance of history. They're like nostalgic about an era that A, they weren't alive in.
Yeah.
But B, was not necessarily better. And it might surprise people for me to say this, but like
have a life expectancy of like 50 or something.
Oh yeah, well that's way back then. But I even mean just like our parents' generation or something like that. It's like, oh, they were real men, and like there was mean shit going on about that. You know, there was like real racism that like not today.
Yeah.
No one gives a fuck about it today, other than, you know, a handful of people on the far left. But it's like it was a mean world. You know.
Yeah.
You would get a beer bottle broken over your head. Well, you have. Jesus.
Yeah.
Guess that's still happening.
Another story for another time.
Yeah. But I mean, there was just like, it was a different world, and there's way more tolerance in the world right now. Way more. But there's such thing as over tolerance too.
Yeah.
South Park had an episode where I think Cartman had to go to like the death camp of tolerance or something.
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think you told me about that.
Yeah. It was a funny episode, but, very relevant,
The way they propose stuff in like a comedic and seemingly stupid way to somebody who doesn't understand South Park, but it's actually like at the root of it, probably like the most intelligent representation of these social kind of like, what would you call it, scenarios or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like unreal how they present it, and just like totally shit on some of
They're
them.
so on point because there's so many like mainstream things that are so out of touch.
Yeah.
MTV is a good example. Now MTV hasn't been good in 2 decades, but their New Year's offering to the public was something like 10 things white men need to do, or men. 10 things white people need to do better in 2018.
Oh my god!
And they posted that video on YouTube, and it got so many thumbs down that they had to pull it because it's blatant racism.
Yeah,
like it is, and you know, it's a double standard. You would never be allowed to post a video like that on black people. And you probably should. If you're going to censor one thing, then censor it all. Yeah. But it all should be good to go. But that kind of thing's become like acceptable now. And people don't like that. I don't even think minorities like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm personally very offended. But no, it's funny. MTV was so out of touch that they thought like, oh yeah, the kids are gonna like this.
Yeah,
you know, and
that went through like several stages of, is this okay? Like, yeah, probably. You know, like higher ups being like,
morons and editors. Well, that's why MTV's failing. You know, and their shows are about teen pregnancy and not about music anymore.
Yeah,
feels old saying this, but I mean, we've discussed it. You feel like you're kind of out of step with the current culture and stuff like that.
Music. Well, I guess more so just
music
like
sucks, so it doesn't even matter these days. So.
Yeah, like the genres that I like, they haven't really swayed from what they typically do. Obviously, like classic rock and like, you know, like 70s, 80s genre kind of music doesn't really exist now.
Right.
But as far as like rap in particular, just garbage.
Yeah.
Just some of the stuff is just like, I don't know if I forget what the exact definition of like mumble rap is. I guess it's just like you know, guys just making sounds and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like comes across as music.
Yeah.
And that's like legit what it is now.
It's like that does not actually sound good to the ear. Now I don't like that, but somewhere in Hollywood there's some, you know, producer and his like focus group that are like, oh, we've surveyed people and the whining baby noise is very popular this year, so we need to add more whining baby. And I don't know, like it comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's not from. They're so out of touch though. There's so many people that are out. Mainstream media is out of touch.
Yeah.
Is South Park mainstream? Yeah, but it's not a typical like PC show. So,
yeah.
Watching a show now, I'm a little late to the party. It came out in 2016 called Billions. It's a Showtime show. I'm in love with it. It's the best show I've seen since Narcos.
Yeah.
Definitely watch it. And there was a comment by, I'm only 4 episodes in, so no spoilers. The guy who's a hedge fund manager is a billionaire. He's being hunted by the district attorney in the Southern District of New York. They want to lock this guy up, basically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like subplots in between. And he was explaining in one of the episode that I left off on, he said, what the fuck happened to America? It's like people used to be wanting to be the guy in the limo. And then he thinks about it some more. And he's like, now they still want to be the guy in the limo driving by all cool, but they throw eggs at the limo now.
Yeah.
Like it's, and my girlfriend looked at me too, fiance, soon to be wife, I suppose.
Yeah.
And she was like, she knew that like I was like on point with that because we talk about this a lot. And it's true. It's like America used to respect guys and women who are wealthy and
if you're successful now, you're like a piece of shit.
Right. You've exploited somebody somewhere, probably, you know, a minority person. Not that doesn't happen, but it's like the real robber barons were back then with the taxes we have to pay and the bullshit we have to go through.
Yeah.
You know, like making $1 million is like you have to make $3 million to make $1 million. You know, and that's if you're living at home with your parents too. So. But it's really true. Just society is like, I don't know. There's something among the millennial generation that is, I don't know if intimidated is right, but they see success as a marker that
you're
you
like
have
selfish
exploited.
or you're like a dick. Yeah, for taking advantage and like.
But they still want to be the guy in the limo, but they'll throw eggs at the limo.
Yeah.
Now. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Billions is a great show. I'm so late to the party on this, so it's not like, oh, it's been out for 3 years, Chris. So.
I've never even heard of it, to be honest.
Showtime, a dying network, but it's a good show.
Showtime. I'm trying to think of, Game of Thrones is on HBO, I think.
Yeah, that's
I can't stand when these shows are like on one exclusive network, and it's like, okay, well, you got to buy the fucking package for that network.
Oh, Amazon has Billions too.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, but you have to buy the season, whereas you can sign up to Showtime for a free month, download all the episodes, and cancel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I try to. It's like I'd love to just get into a show, but then I feel like
you're not at the same point that like I am. Not that like we're equally as busy.
Yeah.
But coming up like you are now, like no sports, no politics, no entertainment, just me and my fucking laptop.
Yeah.
And a bath-made penis pump. Pretty much like the work area was. And then when it was girls, it was like, 4 years. But 2.5 were just like nothing but partying.
Yeah.
Sleep till 4 p.m. every day in LA, maybe 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Go down to Subway, go to the gym, and then, 9 to 2 a.m. at clubs, hopefully after party somewhere. You know? So.
Yeah. If I got into that's the thing is like, I even try to avoid movies almost. Like that's like an hour and a half. I know I'm like, that chunk's gone.
Yeah.
But like with a show, you watch the first episode and it's killer. You're fucked.
Yeah,
you're stuck watching like the whole thing, and you're gonna want to binge watch it regardless. Like, I remember when I first watched Breaking Bad, Dexter, and have you seen either of those?
Breaking Bad for sure.
Yeah,
binge watch that.
Dexter's fucking great too, or at least the first few seasons are.
Yeah. I watched Breaking Bad. I just had like surgery, so I had all these painkillers. And I was just like. Oh,
the ultimate.
This is great. Yeah.
Fuck, that was probably perfect.
That was amazing.
It was funny because at the time though, I was working in a supplement store, so I just like would fucking stand there I literally didn't even have a seat. I would sit on 2 10-pound jugs of Quick Mass as my seat. Like, how funny is that?
Yeah.
Some bodybuilder dude sitting at a desk on protein. And I just watch, like, binge watch shows. And that was, like, all I did.
At least you could watch shows there.
Yeah, but it's like now, I just, like, as much as I want to, I know I can't because I'm going to be screwed.
No, it's good, man. You just stay hungry because that's what, that's almost to me, like, sort of the main thing.
Do you ever feel burnout at all?
I take kratom every day, so no. But sometimes, like, it doesn't last though.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like really. Can you tell the difference when either like you're really stressed out or you're actually burnt out? To me, it's usually the former.
Yeah. The only time I'm like burnt out is because I haven't slept properly, not because I'm like not wanting to work.
Yeah. You're excited to get up every day, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's like bothers me when I'm tired because it's like fuck, I like want to work, but my brain's just not working.
Yeah. You love what you do. That's what, you know.
Yeah, that's the main thing, I guess. It's just fortunate that it coincides with actually being able to make money somehow.
Yeah.
So.
There's so much stuff you can do. It's really true. I mean, certain things can be monetized better than others. But shit, like, you know, I stopped doing pickup. I had a Good Looking Loser blog. I mean, full-time pickup anyway. And, you know, I wasn't going to do workshops. Scotty did workshops for a little while. I guess I did for the first, like, 3 months, but it wasn't ever part of when it really got established.
Yeah.
You know, so I sold penis pump, you know, and made a lot. So,
it's funny because back when I was first starting on GLL, my idea of making money through like any of the stuff would be like, oh, you know, you become like a PUA guy and you like charge for camps.
Right.
And it's like when you actually now where I think about that stuff, I'm like, that would be the worst, most unproductive way and limiting way I could make money.
And the second one would be write an ebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Just, yeah. But yeah, anything that's, you try to create as much automated passive stuff as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Even if it means taking an initial pay cut.
Yeah.
You know, because there's more people that are going to find you on Google than ever going to, you know, sign up for your workshop or something like that. Yeah. So.
Quick business tip that I learned from Chris: never, ever release an ebook that you have to pay for or even free if you don't have an audience. Instead, break that into 100 different articles of specific topics and use it to build a following. Because I have got so many emails from guys and like, you know, I do Skype consultations and stuff, and guys who ask me, oh, should I like write an ebook on this and that? I'm like, okay, well, do you have anyone to sell it to?
Right.
And they're just like, not really.
Yeah, your ebook's your blog.
You know, you spend like a month writing a sick book, and then you're like, okay, put it up. No one's there to buy it, nor do they care about buying it because no one's invested in the stuff you put out. Because who are you? You know?
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Information should be free because if you charge for it, people are going to get it elsewhere.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Just, you know, or they'll torrent your shit even if you are having an ebook that's good or something.
Yeah.
So. But if you have an audience, you can. Ebook's a decent passive way to do it. But you know how much you're going to charge for an ebook, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You know, you should write an ebook because you want to write a book.
Yeah.
Not for money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just like, maybe I'm part of the millennial generation. I'm not very good at reading. Like when I took an LSAT for law school, my reading comp was like decisively lower than every other thing. Yeah. So I'm not good at retaining information by reading, and it's probably like it's a weakness. So I'm like not interested in reading books.
So how would you retain it, through like watching videos or like?
Well, it depends on the subject. Like
if you don't give a fuck, you're not gonna
real
remember
life,
anything.
man. Like that would be the main.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't remember a thing from marketing in university, but it's like everything I learned now through real life stuff, through you, Mike, like Gorilla Mind, all that stuff. It's like that sticks because it's like real life applicable, and I give a shit about it.
Yeah, we were just talking about, I guess it was off camera. We weren't talking about college professors, and just it's like, they
telling you how to get rich without having any experience, and them essentially just regurgitating what they were taught is how to make money from another guy in the same position who also hasn't made money.
Exactly. Yeah. Did I tell you the story about the entrepreneurship teacher at the University of Florida, professor?
That's one degree I never understood the point of. It's like, why the fuck would you get a degree in entrepreneurship? Yeah. Like that, you just waste, like you literally are paying for a piece of paper that says I wasted money. Like in my
I
opinion.
guess so. Yeah, knowing what I know now, I would say that. But it was pretty popular then because it was like, oh, make your own business.
Yeah, it's like I feel like there's an appeal to it, like from a
Yeah.
like misguided perception.
Right.
But I don't conceivably see how anyone can justify being like, oh, this guy's gonna like.
This guy was telling everyone, and he's a professor with, when you look at it, 4 failed businesses. He maxed out 10 credit cards, and he was encouraging people, follow your passion. It will work. I've maxed out 10 credit cards, and I'm proof that it works. You're the proof of what? You know? And to 18-year-old kids, they were like, and they liked this guy. He was likable, and people would come into his office and tell them about their inventions and stuff, and he would be like, go for it. Don't let anything stop you.
Yeah.
You know? And it was just like, this guy is a failed entrepreneur with credit card debt probably more than he makes in salary, giving advice for people to do the same thing. I really should give out the guy's fucking name. Like, I really should make a video just about it, but it's my alumni. I got to see if he's still there. But,
Here, do you want to move the mic closer? It's here. Or do you want to move closer?
I got it. Yeah, I'm good.
So make sure you're like right in front of it.
Yeah. But
I'm very tempted to do just like, I guess it would be called like an exposed video of like my university and just all the fucking garbage they push there.
like specifically about the place.
My program, in general, it would be about
Yeah.
university, but it's like I can actually attest to this particular university,
Uh-huh.
it being like a high ranking business school,
Right.
supposed to be the best thing for you. Unless you have an end goal career that is unattainable otherwise with
Yeah.
a degree, I see no reason why you should be in school because you're just paying to pre-qualify.
There's
for
enough
nothing.
information out there today to where, like, maybe
yeah.
30 years ago it was something. But
Yeah.
it's like in school now. I was towards the end of it, but everything's like web-based in school now.
Yeah.
As far as what I've seen,
Yeah.
like the high schoolers are doing this, like, learning math on a computer, but they're paying,
What I think is hilarious is how when a guy who's okay, granted there are a lot of scam artists who make their money selling courses on how to make money. Like there's definitely guys out there that do that. But there are guys who sell like legitimate courses explaining how to, start online, build an email list, do this, do that, offering free software if you buy their course that like helps you, have help your opt-ins, how to set up funnels, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They are offering real applicable practical information that they use to get rich themselves.
Yeah.
And they're selling a course for like $300. And then everyone's like, scam.
Yeah.
Yet they're paying $5,000 to go take fucking sex health 101 as an elective,
Yeah.
Or
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like garbage. And it's
Yeah.
insane just like how skewed and just fucking warped the perception of things are.
Yeah, and it goes beyond the students at young ages. I have people know me from Good Looking Loser. There's also Happy Hippo that people know about, which is Kratom. But there's other stuff that I've been in, and I've had many projects to get on, and I try to see, even if the guy is a startup and he's not had success in the past, I just want to talk to him about see how impressed he is as a person, because you're investing in people. I remember this one guy, he ended up taking my $20,000, going to Europe and spending it. I just sue him, but I did get it all back, surprisingly. And I learned my lesson from that. When I was speaking to him on the phone, he would talk to me like he knew business.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic speaker.
Yeah.
So it was pretty captivating. But when he was like, dude, have you read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, dude? It's like, I should have known from that, like, you've not done anything.
Yeah.
You really haven't. You
Yeah.
haven't thought beyond that, but I don't know. I like the guy, but I ended up getting my money back. A lot of time wasted, though. $20,000 is not a lot, but for like a venture capitalist, but it was probably a lesson that was worth that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tip out there, if you have a business partner and they're talking about, have you read book 1, 2, or 3? Like, that's not really the right person.
Yeah. It
And
should be like, here's my business that I took from here to here, and here's proof.
Yeah, the proof
Yeah.
of concept's worth something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. Dude, I should hit the road right now. I got 12 minutes to get to the airport.
Okay.
Well, let's pick it up. All right.